the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, welcoming you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at the SOR Vault, join all the fans in the SOR Space Travelers Club. You can pick out a book at We Read Tonight and Captain Shirk's SOR Newswires updated daily. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to CHIVE Charities today. You will find them on our website. With the influx of coverage of UFOs in the mainstream, the path to where the truth lies all points to Washington, D.C., where Steve Bassett and his group, the Paradigm Research Group, have set up shop the last 3 decades. Steve's tireless work has been unsurpassed, and with the popularity of the subject, politicians now talking about it, the military admitting it, same as the Pentagon, we're in a whole different realm of times. We got them for the next 2.5 hours. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Steve Bassett, all the way down in Brazil, connecting with us tonight. What are you doing on that side of the world, my friend?
Hola. There's a lecture tour that was put together by A.J. Guevara, legendary researcher from Brazil for the last 40 years. I've been down before. I did a conference in Iguazu Falls. This is a 4-city tour. I think it's Recife, Porto Alegre, Curitiba, and Sao Paulo. I'm doing this tour with Nick Pope. Nick and I. It's Nick and I together, the Bobbsey twins from the United States. And AJ showing some film and so forth. So it's about a 3-hour presentation. We're going to do it 4 times. Brazil is a very important country. People don't realize how important, I think. 9th largest economy, 5th largest in area in the world. 210 million people. And the interest in UFOs and ETs down here is huge. And the Brazilian government is actually, or the Brazilian military is engaged the issue from time to time. There's been some very significant sightings, probably the most important being Barinha. So we've got a very good audience, and I want to bring a message to them. I'm bringing them a message, and it's about what's happening in the United States, which is quite extraordinary.
That's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, here you're eating all that great food, talking UFOs with Nick Pope, whose hair is always just perfectly coiffed. And you're hanging out, and there's lovely ladies down there, my friend. I mean, you're in a terrible climate right now. It's probably warm there, too.
Yeah, 10 days together with Nick, and he's so eminently teasable, so I get to tease him for 10 days. That's quality. Oh, and, perfect. Yes, women in Brazil are extraordinary, and not that I'm going to have a chance to look into that. It's all work, no play, but and the food. We went to this restaurant that's way up in this area overlooking the ocean, in an old part, a suburb of Recife, which is huge. And you wouldn't even know exists. You just drive down the street, there's no sign, there's nothing. And so you walk in, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff out back. And then we ordered some food I'd never had before, and it was just unbelievable. For about a third to a quarter of the price you would pay for the kind of food here. So you're almost thinking, gee, I just need to come live here as an expat, and I'll just come to this restaurant every day. And I don't know, I'll have to get some sort of stipend from somebody. But it's great, it's nice. But Brazil has its own problems. There's a lot of stress in the world today, particularly with countries with large populations. It's simply almost impossible to keep up with the demands of and the needs of the human needs and so forth, and structure and what have you, in any country. And that is even true in the United States, which is falling way, way behind in its ability to deal with the changes that are happening in our society there. So we need something to happen big. We need a change. We need a paradigm shift. And as you know, I've told you many times, there's the mother of all paradigm shifts would be the confirmation of the ET presence.
Steve, I know there's a lot of people listening right now who are wondering where Teresa Tindal was tonight, because she was highly promoting her appearance on this show. She has never been on this show before. 2 hours before showtime, I had a conversation with her, and at around 8:30 p.m. or 8 p.m., I got a text message from her saying she could no longer appear. It was very vague. Then I checked her Twitter and Facebook accounts, which had been deleted. What happened between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock tonight Pacific time when we were about to go to air?
It's not just a matter of 7 to 9. Teresa and I have been working on a joint project for a while, which I've talked at many shows about, and it's been well publicized. The Disclosure Water podcast. It's a significant project. It's involving a lot of effort. She particularly had to make a lot of sacrifices to do that. And I got to know her because we're working together closely. And she's just been under a huge amount of stress. She's dealing with some very serious issues, including health issues. And I realized in talking with her that, she was all fired up to do something. The fact is that she wasn't really in a place where she could properly do an interview. She's she's ill. And so hopefully things will settle down and maybe you can revisit with her. But I've known a lot of people in this field for 23. I've been in 23 years, and I tell you, the sacrifices that people go through to do this work, whatever it is, and there's various ways. There's no money. You're certainly, until recently, plenty of ridicule, plenty of being dismissed. There's no work, really. There are a few people that make money doing something related to this. Some have done very well, but they're very, very few. Almost for everybody else, it's just an act. It's a passion thing, but you pay a heavy price. So this is, and I've seen people really get pretty ill and also have serious problems in their lives because of the sacrifice they have to make. But this is when you're up against the government, when you're challenging the government's position, when the government says this is something is black when in fact it's white, or vice versa, and you're saying no, or the emperor's new clothes. When the government is telling you the emperor's got a fine set of clothes on, and you can quite see the emperor's stark naked, and you want to point that out, you're in a rough game. It is not easy. I'm familiar with most of the most major political activist movements of the 20th century, and I know what people went through and the prices they paid to challenge the government to do the right thing. Well, that's what people in this field have been doing for 70 years, and believe me, there have been a lot of casualties. So sometimes you just have to step back. So I'm sorry that people may have been disappointed. But I'm happy to be able to, and this is the amazing technology we live in, be able to step in from Brazil via Skype using satellites. That's really cool. You think about it.
Didn't it have anything to do, Steve? I know you say it's about her health, but she was very loud on Twitter about being suicided. She was talking about getting in trouble, that this could cause a lot of trouble for her. She mentioned on the phone that it could cause a lot of trouble for Spaced Out Radio, what she was planning on talking about tonight. Was she shut down, or did you make that call to shut her down because of any implications?
Not shut down, but essentially knowing what she's dealing with and the problem she's having right now, I sense that this decision was maybe not thought through. She's not really in a position to do interviews on some of these things, and so I made the suggestion that perhaps it was best to focus on taking care of some issues, and I'd be happy to fill in. That's it. There's nothing spooky about it. There's no intel involvement, at least in terms of this evening in this decision. Just trying to be assistant, trying to help a friend who's dealing with a lot of stuff.
Well, you've been a good friend of this show over the last 4.5 years, as we come up on 5 years on November 30th. And, I appreciate you coming in on short notice and taking her spot, because you are both part of the Paradigm Research Group. You are the founder, of course, of this group about UFO lobbying. And I want to get into that here a little bit. With the last 20, almost 30 months here, we have seen a lot happen, both in the UFO world and with UFO lobbying in Washington, D.C. How has your role changed with Paradigm Research Group in the last 30 months?
Not the role hasn't changed, but I've made some adjustment. I've made decisions on how to move forward. Being an activist is about paying attention to the lay of the land and what's happening, what's going on, and seeing those opportunities that allow you to engage the issue in an effective way. It's easy to be an ineffective activist, I assure you. And I've been ineffective plenty of times in the last 23 years. So I came back to Washington after about 3 years in California, also about 8 months in London, because things were happening. Important things were going on. In fact, so much is happening that it's like being in an avalanche and trying to count the boulders on the way down. Sometimes when history is happening in a very intense level, and you're in it, you're living, you really can't see it. Only later will people, historians and the like, look back and go, "Oh my God, look what happened at that time." Some people can perceive it. It's like the difference in looking from inside out and outside in. Right now, major historic events are taking place in the United States. There are things happening all over the world all the time, and there's some interesting things happening, certainly. Some mostly negative stuff happening in a number of parts of the world. The United States, though, which is the leading nation in the world in terms of economy and military strength, when you have events of this magnitude, it's non-trivial. So we have two things happening. One is a pure political, very political process involving the president, constitutional crises, and so forth. Unprecedented in our history, and very sizable in its implications. It's been going on for 3 years. We've had one election in that time that was a game changer. And now we're in the middle of hearings. There's investigations going on all over the place, including not only at the federal level, but also at the state level. God knows how much theoretically could develop out of this. Some say it could go on for years and years. My guess is that there'll be some fundamental resolution, and then the rest will be put aside. We'll see. But the effect on the nation in many ways is non-trivial, and all this is unfolding in real time, and we have television to watch it. I'm in Brazil, and there's no American TV here, at least where I'm at, and most of that, and the radio coverage that I follow religiously is not here at all. So I'm having congressional hearing withdrawal. I'm not able to keep up on what's going on except through Twitter, some Twitter feeds. So this political story is happening right now, and it's going to take a little while to resolve, and that's a big deal. So, but in addition to that, off to the side, more behind the scenes, not getting nearly the coverage that the big political story is, the exopolitical story. And to sum that up in just a few words, and I assure you it's much more complicated than this, essentially what happened is that sometime in 2015, the military intelligence complex, and to some degree maybe even the military intelligence industrial complex, that persons within that complex, probably mostly centered in the Department of Defense, made a decision that it was time for them to get out in front of the issue. And by the issue, I mean the extraterrestrial issue, and get involved in the process. And by the process, I mean the disclosure process, capital D disclosure process, the process leading ultimately to formal confirmation by heads of state. And a project was put together over many months to do just that. And I'll be talking about that in Brazil, from north to south, from one end of Brazil to the other, over the next 10 days. And I can give a little sense of it. Number one, I believe that the motivation for this project was significantly connected to a clear view from inside the Department of Defense that Secretary Clinton was going to disclose. She was going to become president, and she's going to confirm the ET president. There's a long history here. They're well aware of that history, going all the way back to '93. We publicized the hell out of this. The press has covered it sometimes, often not. But the people inside the Pentagon and the CIA know a hell of a lot more of what's going on than the media knows. So they're fully aware of the connection between Clinton, her husband, John Podesta, and others, and the ET issue going back 20-some years. So when they looked out the window and saw these articles appearing in papers all over the country, and then started hearing her and her husband and Podesta speaking to this issue, making limited, careful hangouts on this issue, they pretty much saw through what was going on. And for them, that was a huge problem because they have always known that when the political class, which would include, of course, the president, whoever that is, were to finally confirm the extraterrestrial presence, the event of disclosure that we've been talking about for so long, that the political class was not going to take responsibility. They weren't going to get up there and flagellate themselves over how awful it was that they didn't tell us. They're going to throw the entire military intelligence complex right into the tank. They're going to basically say, we wanted to tell you. They stopped us. Carter was blocked. My husband was blocked. Barack Obama was blocked. False information was put out. The Air Force report in 1997, completely bogus. All of this was to prevent us from knowing the truth. They've abused secrecy, all these black programs. We're going to fix that. And these guys don't see themselves. I say mostly guys. There are some women there, but it's vastly the majority of men. These men see themselves as the defenders of the country, as patriots, as good people. They don't make a lot of money. They make good money, comfortable, but they're not rich. And the idea that they're going to be painted as the black hats by the political class when a president finally discloses. And remember, they can't disclose. They work for the president. They are in the executive branch. Anybody that tried to make that move would be finished, toast, done, wouldn't go anywhere. And so they're boxed in, and they saw what was coming, and they had to get out in front of the issue, which means that in some respects, aside from all the discussions about raising money and researching this tech and that tech and everything else, which would really cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but nevertheless, I get it. What you have here is a public relations maneuver. And the first problem they had was they can't do this from inside. There's no way that the Pentagon could how would you say, engage the issue from the Pentagon. It's out of the question. And so they had to create a public entity, a civilian entity that just happened to be made up of very high level, distinguished, high security careerists from the Pentagon, from the CIA, from Lockheed Martin, and so forth, from intelligence, from research, who just happened to be out of work, right? No longer under regular salaries. And they were all brought together to create this civilian entity. As it happened, Tom DeLonge was talking to them and had been talking for some time, and they saw a value in having Tom involved as a CEO, I guess you could say the head of the project. Why? Because Tom DeLonge is not a CIA spook. He's never worked for the military intelligence complex. He's a successful entrepreneur, a musician. He's made a great deal of money. He can maneuver and so forth. And he feels very much like they do, that they don't deserve to be thrown under the tank. And so, and he can reach to the millennials. He has a huge following. So in a sense, he was just right as the person to lead this, as opposed to one of themselves. And so this project was announced finally on October 11th, 2017. I believe it was supposed to be announced initially right after Clinton wins the election. All right, but that didn't happen. And worse, the engagement of the Clinton political team by Tom DeLonge was revealed. It wasn't supposed to be, by the WikiLeaks dump just prior to the election, 50,000 of Podesta's emails. Thus, the toothpaste was out of the tube, but the wrong candidate won. And so they were stuck. What are they going to do? Can't go forward, can't go backward. Ultimately, they decided to announce in October 11th. And that team was put out there. Unprecedented. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And then, just to show how serious they were, they delivered the two big stories to the New York Times. And within 60 days, the New York Times publishes the same day, front page, the two stories regarding ATIP and the Nimitz event with the pilot coming forward, revealing Harry Reid's involvement, revealing Bigelow's involvement. Luis Elizondo was the head of ATIP for a number of years. All of this is two major stories with the same writers on the same day, front page. This doesn't happen very often. Helene Cooper, Leslie Kean, and two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Ralph Blumenthal. This is a huge story. If it wasn't for the political story that's going on in the U.S. right now, this massive, all-consuming political storm raging in Washington, those would have been the biggest stories of the 21st century. They would have gone worldwide. Now, having said that, there's been 400 articles written about or stuff directly or indirectly connected to the To the Stars Academy, which is what we call it now. The full name is To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. Too long. We call it the To the Stars Academy, TTSA. But that wasn't the case. And so that story has been pushed off to the side. But history is going to look back on that and say, holy mackerel, that was the beginning of the end of the truth embargo. Because this group has got more stuff, believe me, that they could bring out any time they want to. And the only reason they haven't is because this other storm, this huge thing happening in the political side, would simply occlude it. And why throw your best stuff into a raging wind? And so they're waiting, I think. They're slow walking this thing. However, I learned back in June that they had, among other things, gone to the Hill. They were talking to people in Congress privately, in the background, including people high up in committees. How many, we don't know, but at least 3 have indicated that they have had such briefings. And we've learned the president was briefed. Most of these briefings involved the pilots from the Nimitz. Pretty cool briefing, pretty cool event, very important. Which included the release of the first gun camera footage by any major nation, any nation ever in history, declassified by the DOD, given to Luis Elizondo specifically to come out and hand it to the New York Times. And, of course, one of those gun camera footages. So this is what's going on right now. And I am saying, and I'll be saying to the Brazilians, that you need to get ready for what's happening. You need to get ready for disclosure. Because if the political situation gets resolved and things settle down, the exopolitical situation is going to accelerate. And again, with information like the Nimitz stuff, like the gun camera footages, and other stuff that's been coming out, continues to come out, the media is finally going to just pop. And when the media jumps into this thing with all of their resources, with full intent that they're going to get the information come hell or high water, there will be no course but for the U.S. president or another head of state who may want to step in and take the glory to finally confirm the ET presence, and we can get on with the paradigm shift that we've been waiting for.
Right. Steve Bassett filling in for an ailing Teresa Tindal tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking UFO lobbying. What's happening in Washington, D.C.? We'll find out next on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to end the week with all of you. Want to remind all of you that if you want to check out our free archives, you could do so at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, pick up a book at We Read the Night. You can also read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, or join us in the nightly chat and more in the SOR Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. Steve Bassett, head of the Paradigm Research Group, is talking UFO lobbying tonight on Spaced Out Radio, filling in for an ailing Teresa Tindal. Steve, welcome back.
Yes, indeed.
Steve, in regards to the way Washington, D.C. has kind of grabbed this story, the one thing that I found confusing as politicians started talking in 2019 about UFOs was how shocked they seemed that this was real phenomena. Was this just part of the game, or was this actual reality that the politicians there really didn't know that this was real?
It's both. I think certainly there are members of Congress. I know there are members of Congress that got elected, came to Washington, and had utterly clueless about the history of this phenomena and and the various intimations about what the government knows and what the government has done. And so they would be shocked. And as far as the other ones, there are ones that are probably pretty much aware to some degree. They know something's going on. They're not addressing it. They know that the ET presence is probably real. You've got contactees, by the way, working on the Hill, I assure you. But their situation is this. They can't come out and say, oh, I knew this. No big deal. I knew this. No. People are going to say, you knew this? What did you do? So they have to act shocked. Everybody has to act shocked. So I enjoy it. I watch it. It's cool. All I can say is that the day will come when the barrier is dropped and these politicians are going to be climbing over themselves to get out in front of this issue. It's only the biggest event in human history, with implications that go on for decades. And everybody will go, oh, great. Glad to see you've come to the party. But what's been said by politicians in the last couple of years, I don't think quite yet compares to what happened in the campaign of 2015-16. And what President Clinton, John Podesta, even Barack Obama were saying and doing. And then the articles were being written. Not quite comparable. However, coupled with the TTSA's revelations and the articles in the New York Times and the gun camera footage, and then you add to that the fact that people like Amy Barra was calling for a hearing, Senator Mark Warner indicated he was briefed by some of the pilots. Senator Jean Shaheen admitted she was briefed, and Mark Walker not only acknowledged he was briefed, but he actually took action. Bless his heart, Republican too. He sent a letter to Spencer, the Secretary of the Navy, said, "What's going on here? We needed more information." And then when he got kind of pretty limited response, he then went public and said, "I'm not happy with the response I'm getting from the Secretary of the Navy." And now then he stopped. Right? I had a feeling somebody took him aside and said, "Mark, you're ahead of your skis here, dude." He's doing his job and he's doing the right thing, but there's other fish being fried in a very big skillet.
Right. Steve, I got to cut you off right there because I need to ask you this question.
Of course.
When the Navy came out and said, you don't need to know anymore, we're not telling you anymore. You know what I'm talking about when that happened. Okay, to me, and a few others who have commented to me on this privately and many publicly, what I see here is an act of communism. When the military is telling the voice of the people who are elected officials that we're not giving you that information. That is, in my opinion, a form of communism. The military is controlling things, not the people.
Let me soften that a little bit. What you just said is what how people couch, and that's not what the Navy said. But there's a very important story there. Let me background it for you. So when the stories were delivered to the New York Times, obviously the key story, which was featured in the opening video when the To the Stars Academy was launched, October 11th, they did a video, put it up on their website, put it up on Facebook. That was the formal announcement. We're here, website's up, let's party. The Nimitz thing was featured. Christopher Mellon went right to it when he walked up to the podium in that video, the launching video, October 11th, and described the Nimitz event. So it wasn't a surprise thing that the Nimitz event was the heart of the releases to the New York Times. And this event, which was known by researchers because there was some witness leakage and had been chatted about, but it didn't have enough information for it to be a major case. Well, in a major case now, this is the 2004 Nimitz carrier encounters off the Baja, Mexico Baja, in the Pacific Ocean, where the carrier group was or the Princeton and the carrier group were picking up these bogies for several days, but they couldn't check them out because the carrier hadn't arrived yet. When the Nimitz arrives, they send up some F-18s to check out these sightings, and that's the rest is history. This was a big deal, as we know. Well, when the To the Stars Academy comes out and does that and puts those articles in the New York Times, the Navy was in a tough spot, public relations-wise. Because essentially what the world learned is the Navy had this huge event back in 2013 and said nothing about it, has avoided it, hidden it, told many of the crewmen and the pilots, you can't talk about this, and suppressed it. In other words, they were doing their role in the truth embargo. Only this has now been kind of outed as far as that event is concerned. It put the Navy in a tough spot. And so the Navy had to do its public relations. And what do I mean by that? Well, the way they sort of showed, hey, look, we recognize that this is important, and you see this as a significant thing. So we're not going to act deaf, dumb, and blind. They indicated they were going to introduce and modify the protocols for sightings from pilots, indicating, hey, it's okay now. As you know, it's been said many times. Starting back in the 70s, the military was telling their pilots, you don't talk about this anymore, you lose your flight privileges. And the civilian airlines were telling them, you don't talk about these things or you'll be out of a job. And the pilots shut up. Now the Navy is saying, no, it's okay. That was significant. And then they also said, we will be cataloging these sightings, not that they haven't been in the past. But they were then asked, will you let us know about these sightings? In other words, they said, no, we're not going to reveal the contents of the catalog. They didn't say you don't have a need to know. They didn't say you have a right to know. They simply said, we're not going to release that. And some people go, oh, really? And I'm kind of irritated. Now, another week or so goes by, I don't know exact timing. The Navy takes it one step further. And this was a big step. This was a big public relations step for them. The TTSA was getting plenty of pushback. That was expected. All these spooks, all these insiders, suddenly they're out in the public raising money and telling us all this incredible stuff. It's a scam, or it's not true, or whatever. And people were just finding anything they could to undermine the credibility of this project. I'm not surprised. The government has earned this kind of paranoia and distrust. Distrust in America of government has never been lower. So they were going to deal with that no matter what. I get it. But it doesn't help because a lot of the stuff that was being claimed, the debunking of the TTSA was false. The Navy makes an announcement confirming that the gun camera footage released by Luis Elizondo was in fact from Navy airplanes, thus legitimizing and eliminating a good portion of all of the debunkery that had been going on vis-a-vis the TTSA, which is very helpful. But they also said, but we didn't authorize its release. Now, why did they do that? Because that way they're saying, look, we're willing to help. We're willing to help out the TTSA by confirming that footage, But we didn't authorize it, and that message is for all the people inside that still want none of this to come out. They want the truth embargo to last until the day they die, and so they're kind of covering both sides. All right? And so they had to make these maneuvers. And then another maneuver took place, which I found very interesting. A lot of people were saying, okay, great, the Navy is saying these things. You've got these statements coming out. Where's the Air Force? Where's the Army? Where's the rest of the military? Are they acting like nothing's happening here? That's a good point. It's a complicated answer. Let's just say that I wasn't shocked when just recently, out of nowhere, TTSA announces that they're going to be involved in a cooperative research and development project. What they call a CRADA with the Army. Now, most people have no idea what that is. It's easy to find on Google. These are pretty simple projects where there'll be a joint thing going on between information. And so together they move forward a little bit. So it's not that big a deal, but it's notable. And the core of this CRADA, Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, was metamaterials and also cloaking, which, as it happened, the TTSA had done a partnership with a civilian company connected to them doing something in that area. Okay, now this is not groundbreaking stuff. And does the Army really need to do this research that way? No. The U.S. government has been researching everything related to ETs for 70 years. But the announcement of this CRADA gave credibility again to the TTSA. It also sent messages throughout the military intelligence complex that what the guys in the TTSA are doing has got support. It's legitimate. It's not some rogue operation. The Navy is making statements. We're doing a CRADA with them. And so what you're literally seeing here, David, is the military intelligence complex of the United States getting out in front of the small d disclosure process. So when the big the d disclosure event takes place, it will be positioned and will minimize the amount of blowback and also to improve the trust in the military and in the MIC by the people who have always been deeply suspicious of their intentions. This is my perception. I don't have documents that I snuck out of the Pentagon to confirm this. This is my perception, but it's an educated perception from following this for 23 years. And I would be happy to discuss anybody who has a different perception or feels that I'm wrong. But right now, I'm very comfortable with that assessment, and I expect to see more things happening where some component of the military intelligence complex does something which backs up the credibility of this project.
We've got about 8.5 minutes left before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group is our guest tonight. With so much happening and the politicians kind of getting pushed away by the military for asking maybe too many in-depth questions, how has this affected the debate or the dialogue in Washington, D.C. as more politicians jump on board trying to figure out what is truly going on, and are we being visited by an extraterrestrial race or not?
Oh, it's a complicated question, but let me clarify here. There is not much pushback at all by the military or the military intelligence complex on what the TTSA is doing. There have been no statements issued by any of the agencies or any of the military or the DOD challenging, demeaning, undermining. There have been some people contacted some press agent or some office person and gotten a statement that seemed to clarify or line up, but that's not surprising at all. There's all kinds of ways that the military intelligence complex could push back against this project. They have not done that. Christopher Mellon then writes an op-ed in the Washington Post calling on the Department of Defense to get involved here, get more involved than they already are. Actually, get involved directly, meaning not through us, but directly. Was there any pushback from the Department of Defense? No. There have been a couple of similar op-eds written. Any pushback? No. Army seems to be cooperating. Navy is trying to help out. So, no. There's no pushback at all of any consequence that I can see. And so what the message is for other politicians that, like, okay, it's probably safe to jump in the pool now. However, that would be fantastic. However, right now in Washington, D.C., it's existential city. Everybody in that town is worried about whether they're going to have a job in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or be disgraced or ruined. And that's on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. It is a massive, multi-constitutional crisis. And when you're in existential mode, running off or diving into the extraterrestrial issue, like Walker did, to his great credit, is just simply not a favorable option. They just can't do it. But the moment that they're no longer in that existential mode, which could happen in a few months, 3 or 4, that could change radically. So we'll see. As I say, in order to understand what's going on, you have to think about both the political and the exopolitical stories breaking simultaneously and how they are affecting each other. And right now, the political story is obviously dominant.
Was Walker shut up by the military or by other government officials?
I have no knowledge of that other than he hasn't said anything since he made the comments that he was unsatisfied with Spencer's response as Secretary of Navy. But then the hearings started going. And initially, of course, you had the private hearings, and now we have the public hearings. So frankly, I'm not surprised at all that he's – if you're a member, say, particularly the Republican Party, and impeachment hearings are underway. Initially, they had not been authorized, or not authorized, but they hadn't been backed up by a House vote. And then they were, talking UFOs. Your colleagues will not be thrilled about that. In other words, the House is on fire.
I understand that, but and trust me, being Canadian, I don't know how the system works down there. I can only watch what the media tells me and what friends fill me in on. And the idea behind what Walker was talking about, the way he got brushed off, even if you go back to before the impeachment hearings, Steve, what surprised me the most about that was other politicians didn't jump up and say, "What are you doing, Navy? Who gives you permission to talk to a committee leader like that?" To me, it showed a real balance of power on who's holding the cards. And it wasn't the politicians who were elected by the people.
Well, that's been the case for a very long time. It's funny. By the way, I just want to mention, when I was talking about existential mode, Roger Stone was found guilty on all counts. So let's back up. It's easy, particularly younger people, and I don't blame them. My God, who needs to think about this? But for those of a certain age, that would be me. I was born not long after. In fact, I was born and conceived when I was based upon my father being released from the Pacific, where he was a corpsman. And the reason he was released because the atom bombs were dropped on Japan. And then Japan finally surrendered, and they had to muster him out through Australia. Got back to Merritt Island and in the San Francisco, and then Merritt Island, and then was assigned immediately to Bethesda, meets my mother in a bar, and conceives me. I'm a nuclear child. I'm the child of the atom bomb. So my whole life, I have watched to a lesser degree, and then obviously very intensely, the entire extraterrestrial issue and the truth embargo that's been imposed. At the same time, the nuclear Cold War. That has been still going on, actually, but certainly for 44 years with great intensity. It's easy to forget that. Anybody who was born after 91, I mean, that's your millennials, meaning they could be as old as 28. They weren't even alive while this thing was in full flower. We lived for 44 years, and now it's coming back. We're literally going back there again. For 44 years, knowing that at any time, a nuclear annihilation could take place. It would basically destroy civilization. It would set it back 100 years or more, and billions of people would die, ultimately. That's it. It's over. There's all your dreams, your hopes, whatever. Forget it. And as they said, the living will envy the dead, which was beautifully described in a book called The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And so that was the Damocles sword hanging over our head. Most people just want to forget about it, but it was real. It was happening, and so that nuclear threat, that Cold War, that nuclear arms race, which eventually involved 8 countries and nearly 80,000 nuclear weapons, literally forced the political class to defer to the Defense Department. And whatever you want, guys, whatever you need, how much money, how many underground facilities, and to make it even more intense, the military was also dealing with the extraterrestrial issue, which was classified even deeper than the nuclear stuff. No one ever denied that we had nuclear weapons. No one ever denied that we were in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. But the ET issue had to be denied, and they had to deal with that. And so the result is that these areas were subsumed into a deeply classified world that became ever more sophisticated, and the politicians were not part of that world. This was too critical, too existential for politicians who come and go to be running around questioning what the hell we're doing. And the politicians were fine with that. They didn't want to have to deal with nuclear weapons. The few efforts to deal with the nuclear weapons were modest. They finally were able to get some arms treaties, the SALT treaties, but it took a long time. And the ET issue, nothing, except 2 hearings in 66 and 68. And so this is the nature of the country we have now. And Canada is similar, though not quite as extreme. And that is we have vast, deep, black, underground, major projects virtually kept from the public, from the journalists, and from most, if not all, of the political class. And the politicians have gone along with this. The few that have pushed back against it, it has not gone well for them. And so in a sense, one could say that this reality that was the 20th century after World War II, the second half of the 20th century, really profoundly undermined the constitutional republic that we have. But those that were involved were not uncomfortable with that because they viewed it as a national security matter. In other words, if being absolutely religiously or fully responsive to the Constitution and what it requires, if that means risking annihilation by the Soviet Union, I'm afraid you're going to have to, defer. And so the Cold War skewered everything up. It was like that dysfunctional family where a couple of the people are really messed up and everybody else is messed up because of it. The Cold War, which led to proxy wars and the deaths of millions and millions of people on other people's soil, creating all kinds of death, destruction, and endless hatreds and blood feuds that are playing out today, was unbelievable. Nothing like it had ever happened in the history of the human race.
Steve, I'm going to let it go right there because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We'll let you catch your wind. I'll catch mine. The audience will catch theirs. More lobbying Washington, D.C. on UFOs with Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Bassett. More Spaced Out Radio coming up.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you. Appreciate your time. Welcome back, everyone listening in on KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Salomon Droid. Salomon Droid is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Pick up a book at We Read the Night. We also have memberships for $5 in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is updated daily. Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group is on the show tonight. We're talking UFO lobbying. His website, paradigmresearchgroup.org. If you want to check it on out, I highly suggest you do. Steve, welcome back.
Yes, indeed.
I wanted to ask you, in regards to the lobbying that is going on and politicians really trying to pay attention to what's going on but not really getting involved, is there just a sit back and wait approach with a lot of these politicians and government officials that you have talked to because of the metamaterials, because of what is going on?
Absolutely. It's like Walker sent a letter to the Navy Secretary, and he didn't get much back. Stephen Schiff, the Republican New Mexico congressman back in 94, 95, 96, he was trying to get information on Roswell. They stonewalled him. The member, and this has happened before, a number of times, and they've stonewalled presidents. And so the political class in Washington sort of knows that you want to go there, fine, but the military intelligence complex is not going to cooperate with you. And so you're going to have a problem, and you're going to look foolish unless you can crack it. And the truth embargo has been in place a long time. So there's a 70-year established protocol, in a sense, that you just don't go there. And so it's well walled off. It has been. The Congress has gone along with this, primarily because they just see no political upside in engaging the issue. It has to be engaged on the highest level of principle and a highly intellectual understanding of what's going on. So, okay, they're out of the game. But the journalists don't have that excuse. The journalists have not done their job, but they have done a lot, and they've written thousands of articles related to the subject, some of which quite good. I have them archived on my site, 11,000 articles, probably 30,000 are out there. I don't have the time to go get them. But the truth embargo is what it is, and it affects everybody. But without question, to the extent that the military intelligence complex is associated with the kinds of things we're seeing from the TTSA, in terms of stories, information, metamaterials, the unidentified series on History Channel, which is about to have the second 6 episodes very soon. To the extent this is happening, clearly the barrier for members of Congress to step into this is dropping each month. But it's not dropping as fast as it might have. Right now, again, with the political crisis underway, there's probably not much the Pentagon could do that the politicians would go, oh, wow, I got to make this a priority. No. Hey, the future of the Republican Party is at stake here. There's a possibility, if this goes as bad as I think it is, the Republican Party is going to be decimated. Now, this happens in parliamentary systems with a little more frequency. Parliamentary is a multi-party. Things go wrong. Parties can blow up. Another one take its place. But that's not the way the U.S. rolls. We're a two-party system country, whether we want it to be or not. Both are extremely powerful. So the idea that one of the parties might be obliterated that's a game changer. So the whole party is facing evisceration if this goes badly. The Democrats are not facing evisceration, but they are facing a situation where they're going to be called to get their act together. Put up or shut up. Instead of playing it down the middle and, we're in power now, so we can be comfortable. No. So they're really facing reality. It's reality check time for them. If this goes your way and you don't respond, you're next on the chopping block. That's what's in the mind of the entire political class, including their staff and aides on the Hill right now. And so the fact that we're getting the attention, the ET issue is getting attention it is quite remarkable. And this is not what the TTSA wanted. As I said, I am very, very confident that their actions, their plan, and everything else was hooked to Hillary Clinton, who was the leading candidate by far. And her connection to the issue and intention to be the disclosure president, the first woman president, the TTSA did not expect this outcome. They are dealing with it as best they can. It made it a much more complicated thing. If this thing had gone the way they thought, hell, we'd already be 3 years into the post-disclosure world. Disclosure had already happened, and they would have already taken any number of actions to instill confidence in the people and show that they're the good guys. There's so many things they could do. We'd be in a whole different place. But history is that way. At any time, it can smack you up the side of the head. Whatever your plans are, even however big you are, history can snap it right out from under you. It's happened many times. And so this is one of those times. In 2001, when there was very significant progress going forward on this issue, breakthroughs with witnesses, major press conference, the National Press Club, all of that was gone by 911. 911 knocked it all out. It was all gone. Just like that. Boom. Nobody saw it coming, except some of the people inside our government maybe. And this has happened a number of times. Some people think it's a conspiracy. No, it's just history. That's why you want to get things done quickly. When you stretch out major efforts to get change and it stretches out too long, you're just making yourself vulnerable to the next disaster, war, act of stupidity that comes along. But that's the way it is. If you want to be a political activist, you have to be patient and you have to know these things, or you'll go nuts.
What's the military stance on this when it comes to Washington? Are they trying to shut the subject up, wish it would go away like they normally have? Or are they really being that open as they feel they should or can?
Oh, no. They're not open. But they want to be left alone by and large. They feel that this is a national security matter. They've got it. Politicians come and go. The political class is under enormous pressure, very distrusted. Just let us do this. So they really don't want to deal with it at all. But they understand that eventually they will have to deal with it. So They're not going out of their way to draw the political class or the Congress into this. But they are now taking steps which clearly are moving in that direction. TTSA has been up on the Hill since June. I also learned the president was given a briefing by the pilots. That's not a big deal. It's not a full ET briefing from the CIA, I assure you, but it certainly got his attention a little bit, and he actually referred to it when he was asked a question. But he's done nothing about it. Nevertheless, these are significant. So when the TTSA is talking to Mark Warner privately, as far as I'm concerned, that's the military intelligence complex talking to Mark Warner. And this is not meant as a negative or being disrespectful at all. That's who they are. That's who they were. But now they're a civilian entity because they have to be. And when they talk to Mark Warner, I'm sure that the concerns that they may be raising represent the needs and concerns of the military intelligence complex, which has a lot of needs and concerns regarding the disclosure process, disclosure itself, and the post-disclosure world. Believe me, all of that is considered major national security matters, and they have a lot of concerns. Who the president is, what the president does, what are the actions we're going to take, how are we going to handle this, how is it going to be done, how is the military intelligence complex going to be postured, posed. And so I view them as representing that. Nothing wrong with that. You would expect it. But who's representing the people? Who's representing the American people? Not too many people that I know of. I mean, I technically, as a lobbyist, sort of do that, but I've been out of Washington for 3 years. Now I'm back. And so one of my tasks now, and with the podcast with Teresa, and with meetings on the Hill, which I'm going to seek, and she's a registered lobbyist. She's going to be seeking meetings. One of our tasks is to try to put in the minds of the staffers and maybe even members if they'll talk to us, ideas and concepts that reflect the needs of the American people in this process, and talk about the kinds of reforms that are called on, and the balance that needs to be made between the people's interest and the military intelligence complex interest. Also, the reform that's necessary to create transparency and avoid any more secrecy abuses of power. That's what I'm going to be trying to do. I know I don't have the clout and the gravitas the TTS guys have. That is for sure. I don't have the money they have. Definitely for sure. Who knows, that could change. But nevertheless, I do have a lot of experience. And so if I get the opportunity, I think I can express those concerns. I'm hoping I can get myself back on television. I'm touring with Nick Pope right now. And, of course, I'm teasing about the fact that you can barely turn on the TV without seeing Nick Pope being interviewed by Tucker Carlson and others. He's kind of the go-to guy. That's cool. Nick is very dependable in that regard. But I need to be on because there's a lot of things that aren't being said that I'm happy to say. And I think that they sort of know that. It's like they bring Bassett on, oh, my God, we know what he's going to say. But I think that will change. And so that's part of the plan here going forward. But my plan in coming back and setting up the office at the National Press Building, which is 2 blocks from the White House. I mean, I could tee up a ball on the top of the press building and hit the White House lawn with a 7-iron. Is time to try. I'm unfolding this in a way to try to work through the timing situations because of the political stuff. I'm having to hold back. I mean, I'd like to be moving a lot faster, but given the political situation, I'm not going to step into that hurricane. But there's plenty I can do in the background, which I'm doing, and setting up the podcast, getting the tech. And my hope is that being in the press building, being a member of the press club, which is right upstairs, which is extremely good place to meet people, talk, get to know them, and then broadcasting out of the press conference, the press building, will allow me to possibly get access to some guests, some people who just simply are not being interviewed on the subject anywhere else. As people get more comfortable with coming forward, I'm hoping they'll think about coming forward on the Disclosure Wire podcast. But you have to earn that. You have to do it, and you have to show what you're doing and how you're doing it and the level of production and so forth. So it's not going to happen overnight. But it doesn't have to, because the hearings that are going to go on in Congress until the end of the year. And then there's going to be indictments, and there's going to be trial. And so theoretically, this could go on well into 2020 without question. But a lot of it will start moving outside of D.C., or at least outside of the political process, and more in the courts. And while that's still going to be news, it's not going to be as intense. We have to resolve the status of the executive branch. Once that's been resolved, things could settle down pretty quickly. And I'm watching that carefully.
Steve, who briefed the president on this?
All I know that I'm confident in saying is it was one or more of the pilots in the Nimitz case, and which have talked to a number of members of Congress. They've been sort of the point people. That's a good briefing when you think about it. These guys, your typical, and we're talking about members, not staffers now. These are members being briefed or talked to. They don't want to talk to somebody who's got a view about it. They like talking to firsthand witnesses. They like talking to people that are directly involved. And so I think the pilots have been first and foremost. That doesn't mean there haven't been briefings without the pilots. So I believe the president met with one or more of the pilots. If there was anybody else, aside from any executive members, which who knows, but in terms of outside members, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if there was more than just the pilots, but I don't know.
Do you think members of the TTSA have briefed the president?
I don't know.
What's your gut feeling?
It's really 50-50. I could see why just the pilots would be in talking to the president there. It's a little safer. On the other hand, certainly Christopher Mellon, who's their top political operative, could easily be in that meeting. But when you're once you step away from the pilots, you're dealing with a much more complicated situation in terms of briefing and what have you. So I'm going to go with the pilots only.
So would this be something that President Trump asked for to learn more? Because he was quoted on Fox News saying that he really doesn't believe in any of this, but he does believe the pilots because they're smart people.
Something along those lines. It's possible that he asked for it. It's possible that one of his aides suggested it. Somebody with kind of a connection. Don't know. Could have been out of curiosity. Don't know. But obviously, if it happened, the president had to sign off on it. But beyond that, I just don't have the information.
So since this, according to your opinion, has gone right to the top now, does that mean that the secrecy revolving this tightens up?
No, I think the right now the truth embargo is unraveling by and large, though slowly. It's not going backwards yet, but it's slowed. But the trend is not toward more secrecy. I mean, that could change at any minute, though. I mean, if any agency or any military service or anybody in the DOD were suddenly get pressured, and they may respond by stepping back and then battening down the hatches a little bit. I mean, that could easily happen. This is a process. There's going to be a lot of two steps forward, one step back type of thing. But overall, we're not anywhere near we were back in the 90s when they stonewalled Clinton completely and they stonewalled Stephen Schiff, came up with a $22 million bogus Air Force report, then gave a press conference just before the 50th anniversary of Roswell in June of 1997, where they tried to dismiss the Roswell events as not a weather balloon but a mogul balloon, never explaining why the hell they needed to keep that secret for 50 years. And then tried to explain the body reports by saying that they were seeing crash test dummies that were not 3 to 4 foot gray looking beings, but rather 6 foot dudes with blonde hair and semi uniforms on that weren't dropped until 52. So when the press was laughing their head off, and they asked, "Well, you really think that they could have made that mistake?" And he said, "Well, it's a common concept called time compression, where you remember something is happening before or at a different time. You're compressing all time together." I mean, this was ludicrous. And that was 97. No, we're way past that. We're in a different place altogether. The wrapping is coming off the package. And right now, I don't see that stopping, but it is definitely very slowed.
What has to spice it up then? Is it another mass sighting? Is it another group of pilots coming out? Is it the Air Force opening up their mouths, letting us know what they know? Is it NASA?
It could be from any direction. as the barrier, as the bar gets lowered, as the truth embargo gets weaker, anybody can jump over that bar at any place. It's like when the Berlin Wall was no longer, when people could leave Berlin after the wall was essentially down, meaning it was no longer a barrier. They were jumping over at all kinds of different places. So who knows? But expect anything. But nevertheless, I feel that if the situation in the current crisis that's underway were to get relatively resolved, meaning we pretty much are in a new place, we know what's going on, we know what's going to happen next. I think the TTSA has got a number of cards to play, and I think they'll play them, and things could move very fast. So I'll be watching them primarily, but expecting anything.
Do you believe a lot of the criticism or the investigation that has been going into the TTSA is warranted, if not valid?
A good deal of the debunking is not valid. It's warranted. I don't know if I'd use that word, but fully expected. The military intelligence complex has served the country and defended the country, but they have clearly misused secrecy and power, sometimes at the behest of the political class, which ordered them to do it, sometimes on their own, for a long time. The CIA has meddled in more elections in the world than any other country. The closest nation to election meddling is Russia, Soviet Union at 36. We're at 86. So you see hypocrisy and abuses of power and secrecy. You can't expect that that's not going to have a consequence. And so American people are increasingly irritated, frustrated, and distrustful. And so what it makes everything harder. So right now, if some person in the government comes out and says the truth, the default position is no, that's not the truth, which makes it harder for other people to come forward and tell the truth. I mean, we're in a spiraling situation that we have to reverse the spiral because it's basically heading down to a certain level of chaos where nothing is real and nothing can come out. We got to reverse that. And to some degree, that's happening a little bit. But no. There's no way this project was going to come out and not get attacked from every angle. And so I'm not criticizing people for coming at it, but I'm more than happy to point out, I don't go out of my way, but I'm more than happy to demonstrate when I think something is off mark. There were statements by a number of people that the videos were fake. They're not. There were some that claimed that they were stolen. They weren't. We could go down the list, but that's, I don't invest a lot of time there. A lot of that is background noise. It will sort out pretty quickly, I think, ultimately when we can move forward. There is a great, I think they would have to be very reluctant about full false statements. They're having to be careful and they're having to avoid certain things. But really raw false statements in the context that they're operating would be extreme mistake. Right. I don't think they're doing that. It would be just nuts to do that in that circumstance. Steve, if I'm going to get you to hold on right there, we're going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Paradigm Research Group's Stephen Bassett talking disclosure, talking UFOs, talking lobbying in D.C. We'll continue right after this.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Hi, little Mikey Rainbows in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. All right. Remember, you can always head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, to check out our free archives. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. It's updated daily. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Buy some new swag at the SOR Vault. And don't forget to be like Mike. Join the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website. Steve Bassett is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking lobbying UFOs. And right before the break, Steve, we were talking about, the entire aspect of challenging the TTSA, whether or not that's healthy for the other environment. But the other side of the story that intrigues me more, mainly because of my background working in radio, is the media narrative. Whether it's controlled or not. I tend to believe that it is. I have always said to my audience, and my stance hasn't changed, that they should take a real look of caution towards this group, because when you start trying to control a media narrative of what comes out and what doesn't, who you talk to and who you don't, I think that's dangerous. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've talked about this a number of times, and I was literally watching for this and expecting it early on. It's difficult to overestimate the complexity of this maneuver that essentially people within the MIC, Military Intelligence Complex, are trying to put forward. The truth embargo is in its 72nd year. It was rock solid through the end of the Cold War, and then it's had its moments since then, but it's still institutionalized. And breaking it, ending it, is not going to be easy. So when To the Stars was announced, it was very clear early on that here's what the situation was. We don't know the origin story, the full origin story by any means. We don't know who authorized this within the DOD. We don't know how many supporters they have in the DOD, though one of them has alluded to the fact there may be like 30 or 40. In other words, there is a group within the DOD that has come to the conclusion that it's time for them to be part of the solution and not the problem, and also to make some maneuvers which will improve their public relations position if things break, and things clearly could break at any time, particularly when you talk about Putin or Xi Jinping. Any one of those people could do it any time they want. But there are plenty of people inside that don't want this to happen, meaning we don't want nothing. We don't want any of this. Somehow or another, and we do not know the particulars, the group that wants to make this mover has enough influence to allow it to happen. They're backing them up. They're their cover inside. And so this group is formed to go forward. But keep in mind, it's not as if the entire military intelligence complex is going hooray. Oh, no. There are plenty inside the MIC that want to see the truth embargo go on forever, or at least until they die. They never want it out. You get it. So here is this group formed, and out it goes. when it hit, it was when it came forward, it was already under restrictions. It's like playing golf. You want to play a professional golf tournament, there are rules. Violate the rules, you get stroke penalties. Violate them too many times, you're basically forced out of the tournament. So same thing with them. In order for them to move forward and do what they do, they had to stay within certain boundaries. And one of the boundaries was easy. No non-disclosure agreements could be violated. Secondly, obviously no classified information could be released. Unless it's declassified, you can't release it. And which would, of course, be obviously pretty nasty stuff. You don't want that. Right? And thirdly, how you talk about the subject is got to be within certain boundaries as well. You don't use the word extraterrestrial. They virtually do not. I don't know if I've heard it even once.
No, they haven't. They've done a great job at no. Where did Steve go? That must be the connection that we're having with him in Brazil right now. Steve, are you back?
In depth for years, sometimes decades.
There you go.
We know the question.
We lost you for about 15 seconds there, my friend.
Okay, it's okay. I'm out of Brazil. One of their biggest problems was that the people that in the quote UFO community, or just in general, whether journalists or research activists, the problem was that we know the right questions. We know all the questions to ask them that would really bring out important information that they are not yet allowed to reveal. And so the position they would be in, if they're asked those questions, would be to say, I can't comment on that, or to lie. Both of those create problems for them. It just gets worse. And so they try to figure out, how do we engage the, quote, community? One thing, okay, how do you engage it? They wanted to. Luis Elizondo wants to really badly. And he's the spokesperson, really, for the, I guess you could say, the professional team. And Tom is the spokesperson for the general project. Luis Elizondo early on agreed to an interview, speak at MUFON and answer questions. At the last minute, he contacted him and said, I can't get out there. There's an issue, whatever. But I'll submit a video response to some questions, which he did, obviously completely controlling which questions to answer. I learned through a back channel that the TTSA was contacted by a couple of people who said, you cannot go out and do a blank interview and then give a lecture to MUFON at this point. They have stayed away from people like me for sure. Because as a political activist and a truth advocate, disclosure advocate, I'm not going to hedge at all. I mean, if they actually sat down with me, they know I'm going to hit them with questions, brutal questions, nicely, respectfully, that they cannot answer. And this is not so much their fault. If they violate this stuff, if they go rogue, they're going to get pulled in. I assure you, the Department of Defense could put an end to this, to the Stars Academy, anytime it wants to. And so they're doing the best they can do under the rules of engagement, which are limited right now. And so as I watch everything they've been saying and doing, I see this happening all the time. Now, the problem for them is, of course, it's created anger and frustration and distrust within the community that knows so much and knows damn well that they know more. Let me be clear. What these people know about this issue is way beyond what they have said so far. Way beyond it. But they weren't sent out or did not get put together to come out and do a massive dump of everything they know. Not at all. They are the front edge of the first time the military intelligence complex has tried to enter this issue in a public way to be helpful. It's never happened before. They don't have carte blanche. They're not rogue. They're being as careful as they can be, knowing that it's going to upset some people. But better that they upset some ET people than upset the opposition within the Department of Defense. Would like to see the whole thing go away tomorrow. So that's why I'm understanding about it. I don't have a problem with it, but I do respect the irritation that people feel. They can't get interviews. They dodge stuff. They avoid being in situations where they could have a problem. And they're limited in what they say. When Christopher Mellon described the Nimitz incident, it wasn't a press conference, but at the what we call the announcement It wasn't a press conference. They've never held a press conference. The announcement of the TTSA, he describes this Nimitz incident, and if you're listening to it, by the time he finishes this description, you know damn well this is not a human craft. But he wouldn't say it. And I've seen him dance around the issue. They literally do everything but say it. But you don't want to know who said it? And this, again, you got to see the big picture on some of these things, because this is a big picture, all right? When the stories came out in the New York Times, we learned for the first time that it was Robert Bigelow Aerospace and NIDS and Rockefeller Initiative who encouraged Harry Reid to try to get a program going over to the Pentagon. What his motive was, I don't know. But Harry Reid did that, and the program was given $22 million, or slated for $22 million over 5 years, 2007 roughly to 2012. And we learned that Bigelow was involved because he was the research on metamaterials was put in his hands, and he was doing that at Bigelow Aerospace. There was other research and other things going on, didn't all go to him, but he was clearly shown as being connected to the project. So he was involved with ATIP, he was involved in Reid, and so he clearly is connected to the TTSA even before it was created. This is no big deal, and it was pretty obvious. Okay, but that's what we learned when the articles were published December 16, 2017. 5 months prior to that, before the announcement, is when Bigelow, because one of his space habitats that he'd been working on since 2000 rather, hundreds of millions of dollars, was being tested successfully on the ISS. And this is real important research. This isn't chemical rocket SpaceX stuff, which is, kind of, since the government's got anti-gravitics, it's a little bit awkward. This is valuable research, and it was being tested. And so 60 Minutes decides to interview Bigelow, a very reasonable interview at the time. Cool interview. And so they sent him the topics they wanted to discuss, and he prepared for that interview. And one of the topics was going to be UFOs, without question, because his connection to the UFO issue has been known for 20-some years. So he had plenty of time to formulate how he would handle that question. He could refuse to answer it, whatever. And so Laura Logan finally, at the very end of the show, asked him about his interest in the subject. And very quickly, under her questioning, he says on 60 Minutes, there is an extraterrestrial presence here now. And she questions him to people, you're worried people will think you're crazy? He says, I don't give a damn. And then later she says, we don't need to look for ETs out there. They're already here. And he confirms, yes, they are here. That's 60 Minutes. Now, again, that would be a pretty big deal if it wasn't for the fact that the political crisis and hurricane has been going on. So what is going on there? He could have easily gotten around that question. He did not have to say there's an extraterrestrial presence. Why did he do it? Here is my explanation, in my view. He knew that there was going to be a TTSA announcement in October. He knew that they were going to announce that he was involved in the ATIP program, and still is, doing med research. He knew all that. And so he goes on 60 Minutes and says there's an extraterrestrial presence here. But he's not part of the TTSA. He didn't work for the CIA. He doesn't have a non-disclosure agreement on this. So he said it because he knew they couldn't say it. And so when people listen to them and see the connection to Bigelow, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, yeah, these guys know there's an ET presence here too. And so that gives you, again, a sense of the complexity of the maneuvers that they are making. All right. And what can I say? Bigelow became a hero of mine the moment those words came out of his mouth. And have they gone back on that? Have they gone back to Bigelow? Any news entities coming in there going, why did you say that? No, because the news people also know that right now pursuing that story, which they've always under-pursued but could get very aggressive, in the middle of this political crisis doesn't make any sense.
Steve Bassett is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And, Steve, I got a question from our audience here, as a few of them have built up. This one coming from Andrew. He goes, Steve, could this mean that the president does have a deep interest in these topics, including the UFO ET concept? Would that not make sense? If so, would the president may once again be able to play coy about what he really knows? Do you think this is possible?
It is possible, but highly unlikely. I mean, I've been following the presidents on this issue for a long time, as many of my colleagues have. I do not think the president knows virtually anything about this subject. I'm pretty sure the Pentagon has no desire to tell him about this subject. He is involved in an existential crisis. His life, his world, his businesses, his children, everything he has been involved in for the last 50 years, since he was 20, is at risk. And the ET issue, I assure you, is way outside the strike zone. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So it's just not going to happen there. Clinton was going to disclose. What can I say? People hated her. A lot of people hated her. 68 million people voted for her. But and what kind of a president she would have been, I don't know. But she was going to disclose. And if she had done that and handled it pretty well, that would have been a great thing. But that didn't happen. And so disclosure's been held off. But we were nearing, I mean, things were hitting the boiling point. 400 articles were written during that campaign. I was principally responsible for that. I was the one that was driving the whole story out of D.C. Most people don't know that. I was interviewed. I was mentioned in 130 of those articles. 130, including the Washington Post, the New York Times, and other major papers. But I was never called by a single news show to come on and discuss. Stories were written, lots of them. So things are changing dramatically, without question. But the political thing that's going on, I know you're in Canada. I get perspective on that is limited to some degree. But just trust me when I say this is unprecedented and a very big deal. A very big deal. It's not just about the president. It's about a whole range of things that were done or weren't done, changes in our political system, norms, the judicial situation, our overseas relationships. Things have been turned up into total chaos. And when a nuclear power of our influence and economic power gets sent into chaos, or if it gets pneumonia, then the world gets the bubonic plague. So this is a big deal, and it's right now center stage.
All right, let's move on to another question on Twitter. This one from Matt in Ontario. He's probably a Leafs fan, so you just got to be careful with them. You never trust a Leafs fan. Anyways, he's saying, Steve, what do you know about Canada's role in all of this? Is there a role?
There is a role. I think Grant Cameron knows a lot about it. He did a lot of early research on that. There have been a few others. It's, first of all, look, Canada has been a very close ally of the United States forever, and it was going to pretty much follow whatever the United States wanted to do on matters of national security. The United States was defending Canada against the Soviet Union. Canada wasn't defending us, though they have participated in some of our military activities, but not much. It's a nation that is primarily devoted to, I think, peaceful resolutions, nonviolent encounters. Not always, but it's got a pretty good record there. But Canada has a vast amount of virtually remote territory up there outside the U.S. I have a feeling the U.S. was very tempted to locate some research facilities up there and probably did. Canada would have known about the extraterrestrial presence because Canada has airplanes that go up to intercept them. Canada has its own gun camera footage like we do. So the kind of stuff we saw in the gun camera clips that were revealed by Elizondo to the New York Times, Canada's got clips like that too. And so those elements that are supposed to know within the Canadian military are fully aware there's craft up there doing things that human craft can't do. They've known it for a very long time. But there is no upside to Canada pulling the rug out from under the U.S. Your prime minister could reveal the extraterrestrial presence anytime he wanted to. He could do it tomorrow, but probably not. Canada doesn't see much an upside in undermining or embarrassing the U.S. on this massively important national security matter. So in that sense, they're complicit. some researchers I think have been involved over the years, maybe a joint program, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know how it may be extensive. Probably not, but I think that there has been some material coordination of one type or another, and leading that would be some remote facilities that are in Canada somewhere, and no journalists in this country go find them.
The secret continues, though, on both sides.
The embargo continues. It's never been a secret. The embargo continues, just like the embargo of Cuba kind of it continues, even though it's been heavily weakened. And what did the U.S. government do? It said, there's an island down there, yeah, but you can't go there. In the ET issue, it's more extreme. They don't even acknowledge there's an island. They're just saying whatever's down there, you can't go there. And that's the way it is with the ETs. We don't know what it is, but you can't go there. Leave it alone. Which is pretty bizarre. But again, the Cold War, nuclear threat, annihilation, and creating 70,000 nuclear weapons created a good petri dish for bizarre. We've had plenty of it. The 20th century is nuts. It's crazy. One of the greatest acronyms of all time is Mutual Assured Destruction, MAD. M-A-D. The whole planet went mad. Not the whole planet, but all of the major military countries went mad in the 20th century after World War II. World War I was really mad. That was really crazy. Okay, but things got formalized after World War II. We need to remember that. We need to remind ourselves repeatedly just where we have been, how bad it got, how close it came to ending. And remind ourselves that it could still happen. There's still 25,000 nuclear weapons out there, and the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists has moved the clock to 2 minutes to midnight because the world's so unstable. Well, 2 minutes to midnight is the closest that clock has ever been to nuclear war. And that includes the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, yeah, we could still have a nuclear war. We've really got a pretty screwed up situation right now on the planet. And I have to say, and I've said this many times, I am convinced that the events of 1947, the escalation of sightings and activity, the crash vehicles were an adjunct of that, and everything else has happened since 47 is the ET-related component of that is in fact connected to and a respond to this expected developments. The dropping on the atomic bombs in Japan was a trigger that changed the agenda for the ETs. And they have been helping to push us towards eventually, though very slowly, confirming their existence to ourselves, acknowledging they're real. And then something else is going to happen after that. And there's only one thing that makes any sense, and that's open contact. Not in your bedroom at the middle of the night, but rather talking to governments openly in some fashion. So that's the kind of stuff that could be ahead of us, disclosure and open contact in a couple of years. That's pretty big. So that's a lot to look forward to. But that they're not unrelated. There is a connection between the nukes, the ETs, the population growth, the stress the planet's under, the paradigm shifts in technology that are coming, like AI, genetics, and so forth, that we are not emotionally and spiritually ready to deal with. We will screw it up, I guarantee it. And so suddenly the ETs are taking a huge interest in us. So we get a paradigm shift with disclosure. We get another paradigm shift with open contact. And suddenly we're not alone. We're maybe in some primitive alliance with other species far more advanced than we are. Just in time, I guess you could say. Right? Before we hit 12 or 13 billion people and chaos literally reigns everywhere. That's my thinking. Could be wrong. I mean, we'll find out soon enough.
See.
Yeah,
we'll
but
see.
I like that theory. I like that theory. It gives us a little hope.
Steve, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We have you for one more segment here on Spaced Out Radio. We are going to head off to break here at the top of the hour. Hour number 3 will continue right after this. More lobbying for UFOs with Steve Bassett from Paradigm Research Group. Then the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave coming on up as we finish off the week strong. More Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us, especially if you're tuned in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio on the digital side. On the terrestrial side, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia. UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. Don't forget you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Salamandroid. Salamandroid is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, pick up a brand new book at We Read the Night. Join the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and we got Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. For the final time tonight, we introduce Steve Bassett. He is the head and the creator of Paradigm Research Group. That's paradigmresearchgroup.org, lobbying politicians for UFOs. Is it working? We will see. Steve, I want to look at the future here, because we've looked at a lot of the buildup in the past of this tonight. With the future, we see everybody kind of focusing on the technology. We see people focusing on the military, focusing on what D.C. knows, what they don't know. So I'm going to ask a little bit of a rhetorical question here, because we just talked a lot about the history. Does the history of UFOs, whether it's Roswell, whether it's the Phoenix Lights, or every sighting in between, does that still matter as to where we are heading with ufology today?
Of course. The history of this field is the legacy of the citizen science research activist efforts. And that history will be carefully studied. And a lot of the way things are looked at now and how people feel about it is is a result of that history. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's a very strange history. And there's been no political activist movement in history like this one. It's just very odd, very strange. And so it will be a little trickier for the historians to understand it, but they will. One of the things that people may not notice, but it's very important, is in advocacy, when you're trying to convince a government to do something it doesn't want to do or to change course from a previous course that's been in existence for a long time, one of the things you do is change the language. You move away from the language that supported the previous posture and find a language which is more appropriate to where you want to go. This is why I minimize the use of the term UFO. I try to use it less and less. Ufology, don't like to use it. This is a term that doesn't help us a bit. And others have recognized this, even Hillary Clinton. The term now is UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Some people say unexplained aerial phenomena. Fine. It means the same thing, basically, but it doesn't have the baggage of the term UFO, which was targeted by the truth embargo to be a ridicule hook. So once you ridicule that phrase enough, anybody that uses it is immediately contaminated with that same ridicule. So you have to change the language. The cover-up. It's not a cover-up. The UFO cover-up. Well, there's two bad terms there. UFO and the cover-up. It's not a cover-up. It's a national security act that's legal as hell. So I changed that term and encourage people to use truth embargo, which is becoming more dominant. Truth embargo is more appropriate and less upsetting, I think, to the people inside who are always going to have to work with. So these language changes are non-trivial. We had the politics of UFOs. Then we had the term disclosure. Disclosure with a capital D is a big, big step forward. It didn't exist in 1950, 60, 70, 80, 90. Only to about mid-90s or late 90s did it start to turn up. It's our language. It's the language of the activist movement. We are defining, literally through terms, what we want, where we're going, and why. And then exopolitics, a perfectly good term. It's had a rough road. I think it'll be revived, but it's a perfectly good term like that. So language matters. In terms of where we're going, I think disclosure is inevitable, but is it 1 month away, 1 year away, 10 years away? But it's inevitable, and it's closer than ever. So we're headed for disclosure. It's a simple thing. It's not complicated. You just announce there's an ET presence. Then things get complicated. Open contact, I think, is in the future. That's a big deal. Those two things I kind of feel comfortable about. What I'm less comfortable about is how are the nations of the world going to deal with the post-disclosure world? Are they going to take advantage of this paradigm shift to start looking at how they operate, how they conduct themselves, how they're dealing with each other, and how they're dealing with the planet, and fix things? Or are they going to just stay business as usual? Yeah, there's ETs here, great. There's other civilizations, great. But we've got to build some more nukes, and we should have some more wars, and we really need to destroy the environment because that's just how we roll. I don't know. But I do know this, that when disclosure comes, the human race will be the largest it's ever been. It will also be virtually equipped, vast majority of everybody, with a computer hooked up to an internet, which means that the collective power of the human race, and by the way, most people know this, but almost all sites can be translated. So you want to visit a website in Portugal, you can translate it to English. So theoretically, the Tower of Babel has been crumbling. And then not just a while ago, I learned that a device has already been created that's being perfected, but it's created. I think you can even buy it. It's a handheld device. You're talking to somebody, say, in Russia. You put this device up in between you. That person talks to you in Russian. The device speaks to you in English. This is, of course, the translator from Star Trek, which was way back in the 60s. Well, it's arrived, and it'll only get better. And so you've got 9 billion people. Most of them have computers. All those computers are hooked up to the internet. The language barriers have been breached through, highly sophisticated translation software. So you have a human race with more collective power than anything remotely powerful prior to 1990. Now the question is, will they use that collective power to demand change and reform and shape the post-disclosure policies of this planet, or will they just play computer games and watch cat videos? I don't know. I'm optimistic that they're motivated by the extraordinary events that will take place, that they will really step into this. And I'm dying to find out. But that's the biggest uncertainty. I think disclosure and open contact is pretty straightforward, but how the world's people are going to deal with it is not so.
I don't know. There's a lot of competition between the crying lady and the cat and Epstein didn't kill himself memes out there. There's a lot of competition out there right now.
But let me make an example. When the fellow in Vegas, I think, who decided to have a little fun and create the Storm Area 51 event on Facebook. And it's not like those event pages get a lot of action. It went viral. And almost 2-3 million people literally signed up, which is easy to do. It's a simple click. If he'd been able to capture emails of all those 3 million people, he would be one well-positioned, powerful dude. But it wasn't that way. It's easy to sign up, no email. In a short amount of time, us creating a worldwide viral thing that involved corporations who started creating, ads around it, and a whole lot of consternation and foo-fa, and it ended up in some events that weren't too bad, including some people out at the gate at 3 a.m. in costumes having fun with the guards. 3 million people in a short amount of time. That just gives you a glimpse, tiny glimpse of the power, of the collective power of the internet if exercised. And because it was 3 million people, the Air Force is responding. The DOD had to get into it because that's a lot of people, isn't it? Well, what if 50 million people signed on to a particular needed reform? What if they actually put their emails into that signage so that the organization trying to obtain those reforms had 50 million emails? What if they each put $10 behind it so that organization had $500 million? Right. $10 will get you a Happy Meal and a couple of shakes at McDonald's. What would happen then? I assure you that this has always been possible. But if you look at how governments act and respond, if you look how the media acts and responds, you will see a fairly endemic process discouraging people from collective action. Don't get together. Don't, that's socialism. That's communism. Don't act together. Don't create labor unions or whatever. Just don't act together. Just vote for us and give us money when we run for office. But don't get collective about anything else. This has been a theme throughout all of the last 50 to 60 years. And people have been dissuaded from voting, from collective action, and so forth. Because that is the nightmare of the ruling class. And I assure you the ruling class did not want to see the internet and computers and translation software. They don't want that. And so it comes down to, are we going to use that power? Look, my work would be impossible without the internet and the computer. And the things I can do just by myself with an internet computer is pretty cool. What if 50 million people were act in concert on something? This is the future. Will we embrace it? It's a message I'm going to be saying over and over and over again. And I'm going to be telling members of Congress, if they ever talk to me, that you embrace this idea. You go out there and you encourage people to act collective with the computer power that they have, and they will vote you in over and over and over again. And maybe someone will listen.
Mm-hmm. Do you see a time where the narrative is lightened? Whether it's through the media, whether it's through the government, the To the Stars Academy, the military, are we going to get a little bit more openness on this subject?
Oh, yeah. We're going to get more open. You're going to see more things happening, more members maybe saying something. but before it can get too open, it'll break. In other words, the truth embargo can only sustain X amount of openness, and it's going to collapse because it's pretty vulnerable as it is. And so we don't need to be everything transparent and open, and we're all running around sharing sighting videos and contactees or giving lectures all over the world. No. We just need a bit more openness, and the truth embargo will break. And then you get disclosure, which is a political necessity. Because once you cross that line, a politician or a nation that is not prepared to step forward is going to have a real problem. So one of them will go first, because who doesn't want to be first? And then the openness really accelerates. People will be climbing all over themselves in a lot of ways to be the first one to tell you about this and tell you about that, except within the government itself and the classified zones. That's a more complicated situation. And the information will flow. It'll be wild and crazy times. And the scam artists will turn up to try to make a buck or get your attention. There'll be a lot of that too. But, yeah, the openness before disclosure will be minor compared to the openness that will develop pretty quickly after disclosure. Fortunately, we don't need a much more openness. Long ago, it was Stephen Schiff, one congressperson, trying to get the Roswell records, which the Army conveniently said, well, we lost them. Literally. We lost them. These are the phone records out of Roswell. This was the Army Air Force Base at the point that we bombed Japan. The records were lost. And Schiff didn't like it. And then he died a few years later while in office, rather rare medical condition. Whatever. So this isn't that time. And that was back in 93, 4, 5. This is a whole different era. And the reason that maybe more people don't see this is because the political stuff going on is just casting a shadow over everything. It's very hard to see through that. And so we bide our time, do what we can, until this storm passes.
What about the idea that we may see aliens? Okay, and what I mean by that is we have seen the divisiveness of this field. We're not allowed to call it UFOs, it's UAPs. We're not allowed to associate UAPs with aliens. In the end, people, no matter what they say, will always associate UFOs with aliens. How do they get away from the alien subject, or how do they bring it in softly?
Well, it's UAPs and it's extraterrestrials. The preferred term is extraterrestrial, even though it's a bitch to spell. I get that. And it has all those syllables. But it's extraterrestrials. And these sightings, many of them are extraterrestrial craft. As far as the ETs, I know a lot of contactees that have met them personally. So don't forget that the contact phenomenon is still going on, and it's been going on a while, and involves huge numbers of people. And a significant percentage, not a majority by any means, have memories of this, or either always have had or recalled or been aided by hypnosis. So we know what they look like, and we know a lot of the things they do, so we know about the ETs in that sense. What we're looking for is the ETs to be formally talking to our governments transparently. Whether we're seeing the meeting or whether we're just getting the results, I don't know. But they're not going to just come down and hang out with us. They're going to, if they engage the planet in an open way, it'll be engaging governments in an open way. So there'll be plenty of that. But we'll move on real fast. These debates about UFOs versus UAP and alien versus extraterrestrial and all of that will evaporate overnight. Boom, gone. Most of this kind of stuff is the result of the embargo, which keeps us stuck and contained and forced to bounce tennis balls off the wall. But it's necessary. You have to keep pushing, and you have to try to make what steps you can. But it will dramatically change. So I wouldn't worry too much about some of the movement, some of the little things that are happening now, whether they be negative or positive. What's important is the larger trend, and the larger trend is right now the military intelligence complex is now committed that they are going to be involved in the process of leading to disclosure. And once that was confirmed to me, I knew what that meant. barring anything dramatic, like a nuclear war in the Middle East. That would probably delay things a lot more, and that could happen. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. That's why I keep telling people, don't take disclosure for granted. Support the advocacy work in any way you can, because history can take it all away from you. And it's possible that disclosure might prevent that nuclear war in the Middle East by diverting people's attention to something more profound, something more future-looking. Maybe not. But what else suggestions have you got? Has anybody got a plan for avoiding the nuclear war in the Middle East? I don't think so. It's not even discussed hardly. We hide our head in the sand on that one because that's scary as hell. There's a lot of scary things out there that we don't want to deal with, which is, to some respect, and this is the government's fault by and large, is increasingly you have a population, any government or political class, that hides under the blanket with a flashlight rather than deal with the world as it is. They're thinking if they're under the blanket with a flashlight, nothing bad can happen. This is not a good look for a politician or journalist or an academic. It's not a good look at all.
We've got about 3 minutes left with you tonight, Steve, and I want to say thank you for filling in for an ailing Teresa Tindal tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Really do appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. My pleasure.
In the next 2 years, 3 years, what can people expect? Is it going to be much the same? Are there going to be more videos coming out? What do we see happening?
Again, my best, and I'm speaking for the United States now, anything could happen overseas, really, at any time. Who knows? I think the political issue in the U.S. is going to be resolved within about 3 months, give or take. After that is the basic resolution has taken place and things have settled down a little bit. The TTSA is going to make some dramatic moves. We're going to hear about some very profound information. It's going to come out. The media is going to be available to address it. It's going to create some major stories. More witnesses are going to come forward. It's going to escalate fairly quickly. And either a foreign head of state or whoever is the president of the United States at the time, this is sometime in 2020, disclosure will take place. I like the idea of 2020 as disclosure year. Never thought about it till recently, but what is 2020? Perfect vision.
There's a lot of people who are saying 2020 is the year because if you go by conspiracy theorists, 2020 is supposed to be the alleged year the Greada Treaty that Eisenhower allegedly signed runs out.
Yeah. I don't know about that treaty, but it's a pretty interesting story. Who knows? I know that you're not going to lack for subject matter anytime soon on your show, and it's going to be even better soon. So you got plenty to look forward to. My work is at paradigmresearchgroup.org. My name's Stephen Bassett. You Google it, that site comes up immediately. People can subscribe at that website to the free mail list. The support links are there. And a huge amount of resource material, tons of stuff, particularly the print media archive where you can find 11,000 articles. Most of the links are quite good, and you could go read stuff that goes all the way back to the 1940s. If I had the resources and the time and the volunteers, I could double that to 20,000. It's the largest database of print articles on this subject in the world, and it's on my website, and it's free. So drop by, and I'm telling your listeners to drop in, and you can message me from there, or you can email me with your thoughts.
Appreciate it, Steve. You hold on. We are going to say good night to you here on Spaced Out Radio, especially for coming in on very, very short notice. And we hope all the best. Your PRG underling and Teresa Tindal starts feeling a little bit better and gets back on track there. Thank you so much for stepping on in. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we finish off the week strong. We got the SOR Newswire and the thought of the day coming on up. I want to know, what's your thoughts on lobbying in Washington, D.C.? We'll find out more. Spaced Out Radio coming up after this break.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother Is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder, if you missed most of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Join up with the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Pick out a new book at We Read the Night. And, of course, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. We got Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily on the site, and it's coming up right now. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, the strange, and sometimes the pretty darn cool. As we near the end of 2019, there's still a few astronomical events to catch before the year is out. This Sunday, the Leonid meteor shower is expected to peak. Here's everything you need to know. Like all meteor showers, the Leonids are caused by meteoroids from outer space burning up on their descent towards Earth. These particular shooting stars come from a rocky tail from Comet 55P/Temple-Tuttle. Could have made that easier. Each November, debris from the comet pummels the Earth's atmosphere, causing meteors to light up the sky at rates that can exceed 1,000 miles per hour. And 1,000 an hour. The Leonids won't reach that frequency this year, though. According to Earth Sky, the meteors would peak at a rate of around 10 to 15 per hour in the dark, moonless sky. But because the moon will be bright this weekend, sky gazers will likely see less of them. We're getting ripped off, is what they are saying, with only the brightest shooting stars shining through. Best chance for spotting the Leonids? Look up at the night and the night sky Sunday and the early morning of Monday. The shower reaches its peak after midnight Eastern, because these stories are always timed to Eastern. The moon will be in its waning gibbous phase at the time. Yeah, it sounds a little romantic when you get into that gibbous phase. Some, even with clear skies, viewing conditions won't be ideal, but there are ways to increase your chances. To see as many meteors as possible, try finding a large object to stand under, such as a tree or building, that will block your view of the moon. If you don't see anything right away, be patient. The more you give your eyes time to adjust to the darkness, the likelier you are to witness something cool. All right. Nobody really asked for this, but this is now a thing. A collaboration between Post Consumer Brands and Hostess means that Twinkies cereal has gone from an unrealized idea to a dream. Yes, the Post-Hostess Twinkie cereal will be on store shelves before the end of the year, and it promises to bring the distinctive taste and familiar oblong shape of the golden-colored snack cake onto everyone's breakfast table. In developing a cereal version of the iconic Twinkies, our top priority was focused on delivering the great Twinkies flavor in each bite, Josh Jans, Post Consumer Brands brand manager of cereal partnerships, said in a statement. Knowing that taste remains the number one purchase driver of cereal, we conducted multiple consumer tests, and the new Twinkie cereal delivered. Oh, he sounds so matter-of-fact. Although the cereal does not have the cream filling, I'm out. That's the whole point of eating a Twinkie, is the cream filling. It does at least look like those shelf-stable snacks that literally could yet last you through a zombie apocalypse. Neither Post nor Hostess have shared what the cereal's texture is like, whether it will be soft and spongy or a crisp-up version of the Twinkie. The Twinkie cereal will be the third collaboration between Post and Hostess. They previously released a honey bun cereal, as well as a powderless cereal version of their Donuts brand mini donuts. Post is also responsible for the Chips Ahoy, Oreos, S'mores, and Sour Patch Kids cereals. In his book, 37 or So Ingredients, photographer Dwight Eichelman showcased and snapped the 37 or so ingredients that make up each Twinkie snack. It'll be interesting to see how the bite-sized Twinkies ingredients list stacks up to the OG version and whether they've inherited the namesake's inability to decompose ever. All right. Want to earn $1,000 before Christmas? Hallmark is looking for the right holiday-loving person to make a grand by watching 24 Hallmark Christmas movies. You know, $1,000 just is not worth it. Have you seen these Hallmark Christmas movies? They're terrible. They literally go to the bottom of the barrel of the actors because that's all they can afford. And it's always some romantic plot around Christmas. There's always a car crash. There's always a hospital visit. There's always, don't die, Grandpa. Don't die. The dog and the cat are getting along. You know that's not a real household. But that's every Hallmark Christmas movie. 24 of them for $1,000. They call it the Hallmark Dream Job application. A streaming service subscription will go along with it, and a movie watching kit, which includes cookies, cocoa, a mini Christmas tree, and some Hallmark merchandise. We're looking for a lover of all things Christmas, G-rated rom-coms, see, told you, and 2 close-to-home family dramas, told you again, to watch 24 Hallmark Christmas movies in 12 days. The posting website says the site will be chosen, or the site says the chosen person will be called upon to document their Christmas movie binge on social media. We want you to have opinions, lots of them. I'll give you an opinion. I wouldn't take the job for $1,000. I don't care if I didn't have food to feed my family over the next month. Watching your 24 Hallmark Christmas movies will kill me. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm ranting on this. Their movies are terrible. You may not agree with me, but it's not worth $1,000. Give me 10 grand, I'll think about it. 50 grand, I may be in. 100 grand, I'll do it. $1 million, I'll watch them every bloody day. But $1,000 ain't worth my time, especially if Christmas vacation isn't involved. I'm moving on. Thanks for posting that, Gail. I'm all fired up now. I know you're sitting in your recliner right now in your lazy boy with your vibrating chair on right now, giggling, chortling at me, because I know you're listening. All right. This may be a way to get away from that $1,000 grand prize. Move to Arizona. Why? You can buy a former Titan II missile complex for $395,000 and turn it into your new home or your own bomb shelter. Yeah, apparently if you're looking for some place to live that's different, really, really different, there's nothing like quite a former underground nuclear missile silo in the middle of the Arizona desert. Yeah, this is kind of cool. The former Titan II missile complex is a fixer-upper. Oh, you could say that again. There's a lot of rust in there. You're definitely going to need some hardcore industrial strength sandpaper. Yeah. Apparently this missile used to carry the force of about 9 million tons of TNT. Badass. All right, enough about the missile. We don't need to know about the warheads. Okay, here we go. The property consists of just over 12 acres, protected by barbed wire fencing, so it'll keep the coyote from getting to the roadrunner. Are we even allowed to say that anymore? Or is that too much violence for those who need the safe room? A ladder descending down into the missile complex launch control. This is where 3 Titan II crewmen, the Missile Combat Crew Commander, the Deputy Missile Combat Crew Commander, and Ballistic Missile Analyst Technician, and the Missile Facilities Technician lived in shifts adjacent to the missile itself. Total living space is likely several thousand square feet, and even more if you can figure out how to make the actual missile silo itself work for you. So in other words, you can launch yourself out of this thing. The LOC is stripped bare, and exposed metal is in the process of rusting. But it looks relatively clean. There is no internal plumbing, so you're going to have to hire a plumber. And the listing warns that it would need a septic system installed. Yeah, you got to put in some potties, too. The site apparently lacks electricity and water. Who needs that? You're in the desert. You want the sky view anyways. But the listing advises the buyer can drill for well water. Do you really want to drill for well water beside a nuclear missile silo? I don't know. Still not doing it for $1,000 for 24 movies. You could put that missile and launch me with it. All right. The makers of the popular sandwich spread Nutella announced a contest to win a 2-night stay at a pop-up hotel themed around the hazelnut treat. The Hotel Nutella will operate for only a single weekend in January, and the Napa Valley, California accommodation will be open to 3 contest winners and 1 guest each. This contest, which calls upon applicants to submit a 1-minute video. Why does everybody want a video these days? There's some ugly people out there, yours truly included, that don't want to be submitting a video. I'll submit audio all day long. All day long, I could do that. I can make myself sound sexy. But a video? I'm out. They're going to say, what the hell am I looking at right now? Looking at the Canadian version of Jabba the Hutt. Nonetheless, if you want the Nutella breakfast experience, go on their website. See if you win. Make a nice video. They'll love you for it. All right. Let's go up in space. A study of 11 healthy astronauts on board the International Space Station for 6-month missions has revealed a new risk of long-term spaceflight. 6 of the astronauts experienced stagnant or reverse blood flow. 1 had a blood clot, and another found to have a potential partial blood clot. The study, which involved 9 men and 2 women with an average age of 46, published Wednesday in the journal JAMA Network Open. The identities of the astronauts were not included in the study. This is the first time researchers have observed these conditions in astronauts, and the implications of their discovery could impact future long-term spaceflight, such as a mission to Mars. After more than 50 years of human spaceflight, researchers know some of the risks posed to the human body by being in zero gravity. Space motion sickness happens in the first 48 hours, creating a loss of appetite, dizziness, and vomiting. Over time, astronauts staying for 6 months on the station can experience the weakening and loss of bone and atrophying muscles. Astronauts are experienced experience blood volume loss, weakened immune systems, and cardiovascular deconditioning, since floating takes little effort and the heart doesn't have to work as hard to pump blood. That's not sounding too bad for me right now. Scott Kelly and other astronauts in their late 40s and 50s have also complained about their vision being slightly altered. Some of them have required glasses in flight. And the twin study, comparing changes in astronaut Scott Kelly during his year-long spaceflight mission while his brother Mark, his twin, was on Earth, revealed numerous other changes affecting gene expression and microbiome. The weightless environment of zero gravity causes a fluid shift in the body towards the head, the opposite of what we are experiencing standing on Earth. On Earth, humans spend about 2/3 of the day in an upright position and about 1/3 laying down at night. This causes daily fluid shift that varies. Basically, they're saying we're like a teeter-totter for our blood. So yeah, astronauts getting screwed up there. That's why they get paid the big bucks, though. Human guinea pigs in space. All right, we got a pair of Florida stories here before we get to the thought of the day. Trappers are trying to catch a raccoon after it attacked a man in Broward County, Florida. Kevin Williams says he stepped out for a cigarette about 3:30 in the morning when he saw the animal lunge at him. He said he kicked the raccoon and it came back. See, the cat comes back too. There's some truth to that. He threw it into a tree and it came back. He said the animal attacked him 4 times, all while scratching and biting his feet, legs, arms, and hands. Hold on a second here. If you booted it into a tree, or you threw it into a tree, and then you booted it into a bush, why didn't you put your cigarette out and go inside? Why? Oh my gosh. Let's continue with this. The animal nearly bit off the top of one of his fingers. He says it wasn't until he choked the raccoon that it stopped. I was really battling for my life. I felt I would have fell. When I turned around after kicking it in the head, I turned around and he grabbed my heel and pushed a big gash in that. Does this not remind you of the scene in There's Something About Mary when Ben Stiller is fighting the dog that's high on drugs? This is totally that scene. Paramedics rushed Williams to Florida Medical Center, where he received more than a dozen stitches and the first round of rabies shots. Trappers returned to the scene hoping to catch and remove the raccoon, but it was badass. It got away and has not been seen since. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Finally, Florida man has an interesting explanation for the bag of cocaine found in his car during a traffic stop. According to the police, the man stated the police or the wind must have placed it there. The wind. According to police, the Florida man was making a furtive movements as attempting to discard an item out of the passenger window. There was also an open can of Budweiser and a drug pipe found in the car. He was taken to St. Lucie County Jail on possession of drug paraphernalia charge. No drug charges on the cocaine just yet. Damn hurricane. Came right through there. That's a guy who needs $1,000 from Hallmark. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time when we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What's your thoughts about lobbying politicians about UFOs in D.C.? Is it worth it? Birthday girl Lindsay. I love lamp. William Pullen. Any legitimate effort which may bear fruit should be attempted. Nicole. Yes, yes, and yes. Write your congressional representatives today. Gail. With the Hallmark story. She would do it. She'd take the $1,000 for it. I appreciate lobbyists. They have not been given the credit they deserve. Their work is to educate, inform, and expose lawmakers to the details of a product, issue, or whatever it is they represent. Lobbyists serve a unique purpose and is not a pay-for-vote relationship. The UFO community needs knowledgeable lobbyists who can represent them well. Well, you see, the beauty of that, Gail, the beauty of that is in today's self-titling UFO world, you can just make it up. In fact, there's people doing that right now. and they never make it to D.C. Tom Whitmore from MUFON. I've been thinking lately that we will not get into disclosure until the government or NASA declares they have confirmed at least microscopic life on Mars first. I think that should be the first priority. Uncle Dale and his power stash. Lobbyists have tremendous influence if they have money or votes in their pocket, which I doubt that any UFO group can muster, so probably not. I'm looking forward to learning about this topic tonight. Well, it's already passed, Dale. It's already passed. Come on. You're writing in past tense there, even though you wrote that 10 hours ago. Daryl, it is worth it, Dave. Just one politician opening their eyes and seeing the truth is worth it. Jim Mallard, the duck. Who's paying for it? Not me, man. I'm way too Canadian for that. I don't even know if Canada has lobbyists. That's how boring we are up here. Richard, a few decades back, the U.S. government discovered that if such black projects were handed over to private industry, which were not subject to freedom of information and kept out of temporary positions, which come and go like the president, then the public and government would have no access or knowledge of these things. You would have to find the exact person who oversees these projects, and even then, they are so highly classified, you still wouldn't get an honest answer. Marty gets the final word. The only two things that American politicians care about is how much money can you put in their pocket and getting reelected. So if you give them enough cash and promise to get them more votes, they would support sending their own mothers to the firing squad. Boom. Thank you, Marty, and everyone else for taking part in today's Thought of the Dave. We'll do it all again on Monday. And of course, we want to say that Captain Shirk really got me riled up in the news tonight. I apologize about that. Apologize. Thanks, Captain Shirk, for getting me fired up. You can find all of Captain's news on the SOR Newswire on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And a big thank you to Mr. Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group for filling in for an ailing Teresa Tindal talking lobbyists in ufology. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms on LGAV, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and all you badasses in the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website. You know who you are. Appreciate you spending the time with me tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for spending your weekend with us. Remember, this weekend you got Rich and Everett coming in, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night, everybody. We will make sure that we got a good weekend for you. And I'll be back Monday. Frank Joseph talking UFOs. Good night.